Most people would never steal money from a stranger. Most people would never deliberately ruin someone else's health. And most people would never knowingly make another person's life worse. But here's something strange. Many of us do exactly that, almost every single day. The victim, your future self. Think about it. Have you ever stayed up way too late, even though you knew you'd be exhausted tomorrow? Skipped exercise, even though you promised yourself you'd start getting healthy? Spent money you should have saved? Put off important work until the last minute? Of course you have. We all have. And the weirdest part is, you knew it was a bad idea. So why did you do it anyway? Why do intelligent people constantly make decisions that hurt their future selves? Well, psychologists think they've found an answer, and it reveals something surprisingly disturbing. Deep down, your brain may not see your future self as you. It may see them as someone else entirely. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. Not a photo, not a prediction, the actual person. They walk into the room. They sit across from you. They tell you about their life, their regrets, their successes, their struggles. Now here's a question. Would you care about them? Most people instantly say yes. Of course they would. It's me. Right. But studies suggest something fascinating. When people think about their future selves, many of the same brain regions activate as when they think about strangers. Let that sink in for a moment. Your brain often treats future you more like another person than an extension of yourself. And suddenly, a lot of human behavior starts making sense. Imagine your friend comes to you and says, "I've got an important exam next month." Then they spend the next 4 weeks watching videos instead of studying. You'd probably think that's ridiculous. Now imagine someone says, "I really want to be healthy." Then they eat junk food every day. Again, it sounds ridiculous, but when we do these things ourselves, they somehow feel different. Why? Because the consequences aren't arriving today. They're arriving later. And later is where future you lives. The problem is, your brain is incredibly good at caring about the present, and surprisingly bad at caring about the future. In psychology, this is often called present bias, a fancy way of saying, right now feels more important than later. Your brain loves immediate rewards. Food, entertainment, comfort, scrolling, sleeping in, buying things. These rewards are available immediately. The costs, those come later, and later feels distant, almost unreal, like it's happening to someone else. Think about retirement. Most people know they should save money. Most people want financial security. Yet millions of people put it off. Not because they're stupid, not because they don't understand math, but because retirement exists in a blurry future that feels disconnected from the present. Imagine being 20 years old. Retirement might be 45 years away. 45 years. That's longer than many people have even been alive. Your future self starts feeling less like a real person and more like a fictional character. A character you'll supposedly become one day. But not today. Definitely not today. And that's where the trouble begins. Because every decision you make is effectively a trade. Present, you get something. Future, you pays for it. Want to stay up until 3 a.m. Present, you gets entertainment. Future, you gets exhaustion. Want to skip the gym. Present, you gets comfort. Future, you gets weaker health. Want to avoid studying. Present, you gets free time. Future, you get stress. It's almost like future, you keeps getting handed the bill for choices they never agreed to. And yet, there's something even stranger. Because despite treating future you like a stranger, you are actually building that person right now. Every habit, every decision, every routine, every tiny choice, you're slowly creating the person you'll become. Most people imagine life changes through dramatic moments. A promotion, a wedding, a huge opportunity. But often, your future is shaped by incredibly boring decisions. The ones that don't feel important today. A single workout doesn't transform your body. A single study session doesn't make you an expert. A single healthy meal doesn't change your health. But repeat those choices hundreds of times, and the results become enormous. The strange thing about the future is that it arrives very slowly. Then all at once. Think about someone learning a language. For months, it feels like nothing is happening. Then one day, they realize they can hold a conversation. Think about someone saving money. For years, the progress feels tiny. Then suddenly, they have a substantial amount saved. The future often sneaks up on us because small actions compound quietly. And while that's good news, it also creates another problem. Human beings are terrible at imagining gradual change. We expect transformations to be dramatic. We expect warnings. We expect obvious signs. But reality rarely works that way. Most negative outcomes arrive slowly. Weight gain, debt, skill loss, poor health, burnout, regret. They don't usually appear overnight. They build quietly, one decision at a time, which makes them easy to ignore, until they're impossible to ignore. And that's why people are often shocked by consequences they created themselves. Not because they didn't know, but because future you never felt real enough to worry about. So how do you fix this? How do you start caring about future you? Interestingly, researchers have found a few tricks. One of the simplest is making your future self feel more real. Some experiments have shown that when people see aged versions of themselves, they become more likely to save money, more likely to think long-term, more likely to make decisions that benefit their future. Why? Because suddenly, future you stops feeling like a stranger. They become a person, a real person, someone you'll eventually meet. Another useful trick is surprisingly simple. Stop thinking in terms of goals. Start thinking in terms of identity. Instead of saying, I want to get fit, think, I am becoming someone who exercises. Instead of, I want to save money, think, I am becoming someone who manages money well. Because every action becomes a vote for the person you're becoming. And eventually, those votes add up. Here's the strange truth. You are already living in someone else's future. A few years ago, the person you are today was future you. The version of you from the past imagined this moment. They imagined your life, your opportunities, your problems, your relationships, and whether they would be proud of what you became. Which means there's one final question. The person you'll be 10 years from now is watching your decisions being made right now. They'll inherit your habits, your choices, your health, your finances, your skills, your regrets, everything. So the next time you're about to make a decision, ask yourself something simple. If future you were sitting across from you right now, what would they want you to do? Because one day, you'll finally meet that person. And when you do, you'll discover whether you've been helping them or making their life harder all along.